Hello everybody, welcome back to this here tropical update for August 31st. We're watching two invest in an area of interest. As I mentioned yesterday, the area in the subtropical Atlantic with a lot of model support wasn't mentioned by the Hurricane Center yet. By 8 o'clock last night it was. Now it's an invest with a high chance of formation, potentially impacting the Azores later this week. We have Invest 9391L located over the tropical Atlantic, potentially affecting the Bahamas and or Bermuda later this week in an area of interest located near the Cabo Verde Islands. So we have a lot going on here. Here's a sneak peek at what the GFS is saying is going to happen 4 days from now. So this Sunday morning, we have a tropical storm located over, north of Puerto Rico, making its way between Bermuda and the Bahamas. We have a subtropical storm, potentially even a tropical storm, maybe even a hurricane at this point, over the North Atlantic, making its way towards the Azores. And we have what could be a tropical depression located out to the northwest of Cabo Verde. So that's just a sneak peek of what we're talking about today. Invest 93L kind of already looks like a subtropical storm. Still very frontal in nature, and so that's why it would be subtropical. But it has that strong convection near the center and is a rotating storm with it. So it very well could be a subtropical cyclone. Again, as long as it remains frontal, that is elongated, not the circulation elongated, but that convection elongated along the front. I'll take my cursor over here, elongated this way. That would keep it as subtropical rather than tropical. We're going to keep an eye on the Azores for potential impacts down the line. Max winds are currently at 30 miles an hour. National Hurricane Center is saying an 80% chance of formation in the next 5 days. We could see this thing named, or at least a depression, within the next day or two. So keep an eye on this one. Invest 91L, a decent amount of convection, but still not rotating completely according to the recon plane earlier today. Again, all of those areas that could potentially experience at least swells from this storm include portions of the Northern Leeward Islands, the Bahamas, and Bermuda. And I'll show you a graphical representation of the more impacted areas here shortly. Also an 80% chance of formation within the next 5 days on this one. Max winds at 35 miles an hour. Keep an eye on this one if you're in Bermuda, heading towards there, perhaps even the Bahamas as well. And again, in the Leeward Islands, probably going to see some high surf, but outside of that, not a whole lot. Behind this one, we have that area of interest. National Hurricane Center saying a 50% chance of formation within the next 5 days. That's up from yesterday. It's probably going to stay around 50% the way the models have been looking on this one recently. It's nothing to write home about. It's not a huge amount of model support. As you saw at the beginning, it's not like it has a strong hurricane from the system here on day 3 or 4. Now it keeps it as a depression if it even forms. So again, nothing too concerning with that one. You see the map's a lot more lit up today. A few more blue areas. I expanded some of the Bahamas, although the chances that it goes towards the Bahamas is decreasing. In fact, it might miss the Bahamas and Bermuda completely, just making that turn super quickly and sharp to avoid all of the land. I'm still expanding the area in the Bahamas just in case, because the European model is still leaning slightly towards the south compared to the GFS. I'll show you the European here in a second. Still keep an eye out in the Northern Islands up to Cabo Verde, as well as the entirety of the Azores, especially the Western Azores. Need to keep an eye on Invest 93L and its potential development into a tropical or subtropical cyclone. The date was wrong on the upper corner of that one. The European model, the latest, again, like I said, a little bit further to the south than the GFS, which I'll show again here in a second. As you can see, still for the most part going to turn out to sea, perhaps even turning sharp enough to miss Bermuda, which would be good for them. The area of interest is gone within a week from now. That tropical wave behind it could be developing, and then Invest 93L up at the top of the screen is near the Azores in about a week from now. So basically it meanders where it's at right now for probably the next 4 or 5 days or so. After that, then it'll start moving off to the east, and that's where we could see Azores impacts, say probably day 5, 6 through 8 or so. So just keep an eye in that time frame for the people in the Azores. Again, Bermuda, the Bahamas also need to keep an eye on this storm. As we see on the GFS, 91L turns away super quickly, mixing the Bahamas completely, perhaps heading towards Bermuda though, but again, making that a very sharp turn. Very scattered model output on 93L, but nonetheless significant support for potential development with that storm. Also developing the area of interest behind 91L, that tropical wave located near Cabo Verde right now. So again, all these storms, something we want to watch, especially 93L potential impacts to the Azores in a very unusual location for this time of year. Normally we see those later in the summer. And again, 91L, something that we're going to want to watch to see when it turns to the north, if of course it develops. That's all for the month of August, not just today, for the whole month. But we'll be back, of course, with September, where we could see a storm or two, perhaps even a hurricane or two over the next week. That's all for now. Chris Dixon for their Catholic Media.